The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
One of the most common examinations since the PACT Act became law are pulmonary examinations. What do I mean by pulmonary examinations? There's essentially three different types of exams. You got asthma and COPD, you got sinusitis, and you got rhinitis. I'm going to take them in that order. Asthma and COPD are rated by looking at two factors. The first is scores that are spit out by the machine you blow into. So anyone who's had asthma or COPD will know what I mean by this. Essentially, there's a machine that the doctors will yell at you to blow in until you almost pass out, and they're going to make you do it 3 times. This machine is going to spit out 2 different scores that are relevant to us. One of them is what's called an FEV1 score. Depending on where you are compared to where you should be for your height and weight, the VA will compensate you at either 10, 30, 50, or even 100%. The other way that you are compensated for a breathing problem like asthma or COPD is based on the type of medication you take. So someone who takes an albuterol inhaler once a year is going to be compensated a little bit differently than someone who's taking prednisone every day or is on a biologic like immunosuppressant type medication on a regular basis to keep them from having severe asthma attacks or COPD exacerbations. So when I prepare you for this exam, there's 2 things you need to know. Number 1, you need to know your medications. I encourage every one of our clients to either write down or take in the medication you use on a regular basis to treat your asthma or COPD, and make sure the examiner is aware of it. Number 2, make sure you always give your best effort on these pulmonary function tests. If you had one in the recent 6 to 12 months before the examiners are just going to use those results. However, if you've never had one, the examiners may send you to get one done. And I'm telling you, these are not easy because of how often they make you breathe out and how forceful they make you breathe out. So it's very easy sometimes to kind of take a little rain check on one of those tests. But it's important you give your best effort because they can tell when you're not giving full effort, and it invalidates the whole test. And the VA will then just say, we can't reach you because we don't have proper numbers. Now, the next test is sinusitis and rhinitis. Sinusitis is rated based on, again, like asthma, the frequency at which you have severe episodes of sinus attacks, and then second, the type of treatment you take. Just like asthma, I encourage you to take your medications with you and make sure the doctor knows not only what you take, but how often you take it. But unlike asthma, sinusitis is not one of those things where you have it every single day. Well, maybe some people who have severe sinusitis may, but most people don't. It's one of those things where you have a sinus attack, you take the antibiotic, Z-Pak, you get better for a month or 2, and then another attack comes about. So it's important that when you're talking to the examiner, you have a good idea of the frequency at which you have sinus attacks that require you to go get that Z-Pak or antibiotics. If you take regular medication as well on top of that, make sure you communicate that to the examiner. Finally, rhinitis. Rhinitis is a little bit different than the other 2 because with rhinitis, it is really based on the physical examination. What do I mean by this? So with asthma, they're going to listen to your heart. They're going to put that stethoscope on your lungs and say breathe in and breathe out. They do that just to diagnose you. But whether you have wheezing or anything like that, that doesn't actually go into the rating. Same thing with the sinus attacks. You may have a sinus attack on the day of the exam, or you may not have had one for a couple months. And when they're testing you for sinusitis, it may be completely normal. And you can still get a pretty good rating depending on how well the attacks are documented. Rhinitis, though, is based on a physical examination where they're going to look up your nose and see how much of your left and right nostril is clogged up due to your allergies. And if it's only one, you get 1 rating. If it's both, you get a higher rating. And if it's none, you'll still likely get service-connected, just probably not more than 0%. With rhinitis, even though medication doesn't play a role in the rating, it's important you let the doctors know what medication you take. It could be as basic as over-the-counter, or it could be as complex as going in monthly for allergy shots. Sometimes the frequency of treatment can be used to argue, at least on us attorneys' side, that a higher rating should have been given to you because of the frequency of medication or the intensity of medication you take. At the end of the day, what happens at your exam is going to matter, is going to be based on your facts. Please talk to your attorney about the exam so they can prepare you specifically for what you're going to experience. Thank you.